Hi, welcome to video 5 on teaching recall. This is about new environments, so this will help bulletproof what we did last lesson, or at the last level where your dog is on a 15-foot lead. And part of that is just getting out of the backyard, or if you're already out of the backyard because you don't have one, this is taking your dog into a slightly more exciting environment that will stimulate your dog a little bit, get it a little bit more excited, and make it a little harder for recall. So depending on where your dog is at will depend on the environment you take it to. For a standard dog, I would suggest just a very, very quiet area. It could be a little reserve, a very quiet park somewhere, and begin to do recall exactly the same on your 15-foot lead. Now there is one thing to remember: when you're out in public as an owner of a dog, you have total responsibility for that dog. So when you're going, whether it's 6 foot, 15 foot, 50 foot lead, ensure that you're having that dog out there where there aren't any people that are going to be walking across that lead, or where your dog can run into people. That is your responsibility. You cannot and should not expect people to have to walk around your 15, 20, 50 foot lead. You should be having your dog on those types of leads where people aren't walking. So that's something to be very aware with. And if you don't do that, you run into all sorts of problems. People can get injured, which will make it your responsibility. It could be very costly. Your dog could be injured. Worse still, your dog might bite somebody. In that case, you're going to lose your dog, or people are going to report your dog as being a nuisance, and the same thing may happen. You may lose your dog. So just remember, when you're out there, it is your responsibility. Don't have your dog out on a lead that then is interfering with the normal path of people in that area. So always make sure that it's a nice clear area. Everything else is going to be the same. Now, when you go, the idea of new environments is when you take your dog to a new environment, it's all that much more exciting. There's new things to look at, new sights to see, new sounds, new smells. All of that's new. There may be people in the distance, there may be dogs in the distance. Where it is will be really where your dog is. For Koji, we're on a cattle station. We're 700, 800 kilometres round trip from the nearest park. So all of our stuff will be done on the cattle station. But in every direction at different times, there's kangaroos, there's 3-4 foot lizards, there's dingoes, wallabies, cattle, wild pigs, and feral goats. There's always something out here to distract them anyway. And there's lots of lovely smells on the ground, as you can imagine. Lots of different birds, just lots of everything. So there's always distractions. The main thing with distractions and a new environment is that it is a distraction, is that you don't make it overwhelming for your dog. Remember, we're setting the dog up to succeed, not to fail. So if the area is too much for your dog and your dog becomes overwhelmed, step back, make it easier on your dog. If you have to, go right back to the previous level and redo that if your dog's not ready. With Koji, often you won't see much difference with him. He won't react like a lot of dogs will. He won't get the same stimulation. I spend a lot of time just working on calmness with him. And the reason is to keep him calm. So, I've had him walk up to cattle and just remain dead calm with it. New environments, we can go to a new environment day after day because of the way we live. And so it's something he had to be used to. So your dog may get far more excited than he will in a very quiet area. So it's very important to keep an eye on that. And if you have that problem, work on calming exercises. On the site there are calming exercises you can work with your dog. Interact with your dog calmly, and I keep saying it, if it gets frustrating, finish on a positive note, walk away, come back and do it again later. Don't get angry, don't start yelling at the dog. If you get flustered, the dog gets flustered. So if it's not working, take a step back, finish on a positive note, come back later when everybody's nice and calm and try again. If your dog's just not getting it, go back to the previous level. Set your dog up to succeed. Alright, we'll be back soon and we'll start Koji off with some environments. We'll do 3 or 4 different areas around the cattle station with him. Okay, thank you. Alright, so here we are in another environment. Again, this will just give Koji a little bit different to look at. Not a lot, it's a cattle station, there's not a lot of difference to look at, but again, there's just different smells. He'll get kangaroos that are jumping through there. He'll have different little things to look at. Alright, so again, just from a static, Koji, to me. Yes. Good boy. To me. Good. Yes. So we'll just do a couple of statics. Yet again, it's early here. Only about 7:30, 7:45, and it's already heading towards 40 degrees Celsius. So again, we'll keep this short. Koji, to me. Yes. To me. Good. Good boy. So he's already been exercised, you know, starting about 4:30 in the morning while it's still dark, and you know, some basic training, playing with the other dogs. So he's already pretty tired by this time, and it's just so hot. Koji, to me. Good boy. To me. Good. Good boy. With me. Alright, so it's the same principle, remember. We're keeping this very much, everything the same. So he knows exactly what's got to be done no matter the situation. Okay, free. Those dog burrs are just everywhere here, so you just got to keep cleaning them out. Eventually the dog's paws toughen up and they don't affect them as much. And even my older ones still get them all the time. Koji, to me! Good boy! Yes! To me. Good. As you can see, he's getting free. Getting the hang of this really well. I'm not too concerned that he often comes just at a slow trot because he's coming when called. And that's all I want. And he's coming straight to me even though there's still distractions around. I don't expect him to run flat out in this heat. It's just too dangerous. And in practices, when I'm not filming it, I do this when it's just breaking light, and he's got the energy to me, and he comes really well. Good boy. And again, you know, it doesn't really matter whether a dog comes flat out to you or not, as long as it comes to you on the call, and that's all that's important. And as long as halfway along it doesn't get distracted and it keeps coming. You know, I've got one dog who just dawdles to me most times if I'm calling him in, but he comes directly to me and never deviates. And our dingo cross, he just comes like a madman. So, you know, it depends a little on the dog. Alright, we'll be back soon. We'll be moving to one more environment for this and just give a short look there. Okay, thank you. Okay, so here we are in one of the paddocks, and we'll start off just doing a couple of stationary and then we'll do a couple of moving. We'll only be doing a couple of each because it is just so hot here. and then we'll move on. So because he's got a few environments to do, you know, we'll keep it relatively short in each one. Alright, so from a stationary, same thing. Koji, to me. Yes. Good boy. Good boy. Koji, to me. And again, I'll just use this just to guide. His main interest right now is just to get into some shade. He's not too worried about anything around us. So I've said it before, but it's quite often good when you're doing something like this in a new area to do it with your dog that's already tired out a little bit. You know, he's been going since 4:30 this morning, and he gets a couple of hours in before the heat gets in of you know, basic training and playing and walking and so forth. So he's nice and tired. It's still very early in the morning, but it's already really hot. So once more, we'll just do a static. Koji, to me. Yes, good boy. Good, yes. Good boy. Okay, with me. There's one thing about this dog, he's a real trooper. And the last thing he wants to be doing is jogging around in this. Okay, free. One of the things you can do too is begin just to, if they're finding they're getting tangled up, just step on it. And that way if he goes anywhere, I've got control. And I can also reach down. Koji, to me. Yes. Good boy. Okay. It's also important you know your dog. And what he's likely to do before you do let go of this at all. Good boy. Koji gets tested every day. Free. He gets tested every day in a yard. Koji, to me. Come on. Oh. Trade. Good. Good. Trade. Got this. Good boy. Okay, good boy. Okay, we'll try that again. And that's why trade is a really good tool to teach a dog. They pick up something, they'll trade. Free. And then we play the patience game. Koji, to me. Good. Good boy. So you're going to get your dog making mistakes. In this case, you know, he's picked up a bit of cow dung. And he's traded it off for a treat. And again, it's a matter of just staying calm, refocusing, getting them back on track. You know, if your dog doesn't make a mistake, you know, something's wrong, because he is going to make a mistake. We do everything we can to try and set them up to succeed, because we don't want them to fail. So when they do, it's a matter of staying calm, just refocusing them back onto where they should be. In a case like this, he's traded with me, I've just moved him out and I've redone the technique with him. And it's just a point of not making a big deal about it. And if he hadn't have traded, I had the rope there, I'd get him in, I'd take it off him, I'd send him back out and do the technique again as well. So if you haven't taught your dog something like tray, there's another option there as well. The main thing is stay calm, get the dog refocused, back on track and keep moving. Alright, we'll go and do one more location and that'll do for this one, so we'll see you shortly. Okay, here we are. This is our final new environment for the day. So exactly the same again, just a new environment. We'll do a couple from static and then a couple from moving and then we'll give him a rest. Reggie, to me. Yes. Good. Come on, tree. Okay, good. Reggie, to me. Yes, good boy. Yes. Good boy. Yes. Okay, and then we'll do a couple moving. As you can see, he's beginning to suffer just a little bit from the heat. So we'll do a couple moving and then we'll get him back and cool him down. Okay, Jim. You're free. The cows are just an everyday distraction around here, so nothing overly new. Go, G! To me! Yes! Good boy! Good boy! Up. Good. Good boy. Come on. You're free. As usual, it's just a patience game sometimes. I'll just wait till he takes his attention off me. Go, Jay! Go, mate! Yes! Good boy! Good boy! Yes. Good boy. Okay, and as you can see, he's starting to slow down now. He's just getting hot and tired. And like I said, it's incredibly hot here already this early in the morning. So we're going to call it stumps and we'll take him off and we'll cool him down and manage him. And that's what it really is about with all the dogs, even our working dogs who are used to it, is they all need managing. So we've got to be very careful because of the heat. So we'll take him back, cool him down and manage him. Just a couple of things to finish with is by now you should start to see that your dog is becoming a little bit more receptive. Often you find that the bonding, once they start getting the idea of recall, that the bonding between you and the dog improves. And also they tend to be more open to be petted and cuddled and things like that, especially when they're off lead in the backyard, is they tend to be more receptive to that. Often the big mistake owners make with dogs is that we call them to us, we stick a collar and a lead on them, and we end their world. And that's how the dog sees it. It's playing, it's happy, it's jumping, it's doing all these things. It's smelling, it's sniffing, it's marking, it's chasing butterflies. We call it, we whack a collar on it, we whack a leash on it, we take it away and we lock it up. Inside the house, in a kennel, in a car, whatever that thing is, we end that dog's world right there and then with the collar and with the leash. So it is so important when you're doing recall, and even when you're not, that when you get that dog to you, you release it again. and then you get the dog back to you, you release it again. You get the dog back to you, you might end its world right there, but the next time you might release it, not release it, release it, not release it. So the idea being that the dog never really knows whether it's going to be put on a collar and lead and that's the end of it, or it's going to be put on the collar and lead and it's allowed to play again. And when you do that, the dog will also start to recall much easier for you. So if you've got this problem where you're trying to get your dog inside when you've let it outside, for instance, and you're chasing it around the garden because it won't come, one, don't chase it because the dog thinks there's a game. Two, start practicing letting it play, and you can do that, the starts of that, by having it on a lead. And as you can see in recall, I call him to me and I set him free. Still on a lead, but I set him free, so he can go off and sniff, he can look at the cattle, whatever. I'll call him to me, I'll set him free. I'll take him back to the homestead now and I'll set him free. I'll water him down, I'll cool him down, and I'll set him free. And then I'll get him in and I'll water him down and I'll cool him down and I'll set him free. And so as far as he's starting to get concerned about now is me calling him, me putting collar and lead on him doesn't end his day. So the sooner you start working with that, the quicker your recall tends to happen as well, but also the less problems you have with trying to get that dog back to you in the dog park, for instance, or just from the backyard to get it inside. Okay, if you want to get rid of all that drama, teach it that collar and lead doesn't necessarily mean that its fun time is going to end. Capture, release, capture, release, capture, release, capture, keep. And continue that type of thing, and then the dog learns that it may or may not need that, and even if it means that, it knows then that it's going to get out and it's going to be free again to play. So that's the main thing. So okay, until the next video, and the next video will be taking your dog out to a 50-foot leash, and after the 50-foot leash it'll be new distractions again, and then from there we begin to work on the dog being off leash, or at least off control. So it'll still have a leash to start with, but the leash will be just on the ground. And then once we've gone through that, we remove the leash, and in a secure area we begin to test recall from there. And then again we begin to do it with no lead and add distractions, new environments, and then eventually here in the open. Alright, until then, best of luck with it all.